I thought this was unapologetic. If you don't agree with, okay, doesn't resonate with you, scroll.
We're saying it's not the only way.
Culture vultures, like they are copying the entire culture.
People are practicing it that are not of color.
The spirits don't want to work with you.
These are ancestors that don't belong to you. How are you treating the people that you're pulling the energy from?
I see myself in those text messages. I'm sorry.
EDG has been internet. Their whole relationship has...
I feel like y'all not being real.
Shadow work. Why do people keep saying that? What is shadow work? What is shadow work? It's coming up and I'm crying about it. Everything gives you anxiety. Everything makes you upset.
Definitely make you cry and scream
really
and shake.
How are you going to grow? You can't just be, I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
I dealt with a lot of astral projection.
This is like the worst gift to get. Like, who wants to see dead people?
This gift of power to speak and things would move.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Conjure Confessions podcast, where we give spiritual advice into the unapologetic truth. With me, Chaela Bre Ahari, Eria Ahari,
Tina Marie Ahari.
And I am Lala Inuti Ahari. Welcome back to the Conjure Confessions with the Aharis. So I want to get some things straight first. We do have a lot of people who think that our show is very controversial, right? And of course it is. We are telling the unapologetic truth. This is our truth. These are our experiences. And we want to speak on them to give people awareness and let people know that it's okay to step outside the box. So our intent is never to tear someone down because of their faith. Everybody has a right to choose their faith. We are just telling our experiences to where we were torn down because of our faith. So again, apologies if it ruffles some feathers, but the truth usually does. So again, welcome back to the Conjure Confessions.
Was that about the Christians and that we were talking about last time?
I thought this was unapologetic.
I mean, but also I was talking a lot about the Christians, and I just feel like I wanted the point to be made that I don't have a problem if you've done your proper research and you feel like that resonates with you. I was talking about the people who are blindly following.
And judging.
So in judging, it's not to shame or, put judgment on the entire religion.
Right.
It's a sin within itself, by the way.
Of course, it is. It is bad. But here's the thing. If you feel like that whatever faith you follow is for you, then it's for you. And if you feel like, okay, that's not for me, then don't touch it. I'm not, condemning anybody or bullying anybody because I don't believe in what they believe spiritually. Mm-hmm. We're only speaking about our experiences.
But what's wrong too is that people will take their time out of the day, to condemn somebody else or comment on something that if you don't agree with, okay, doesn't resonate with you, scroll. You take your time to comment and judge somebody else and tell us we're sinning or that's not true or we're lying, but you're sinning right now just by doing this comment because it's very judgmental. And you don't even know what you're talking about. Because did you read the Bible?
And
yeah, they don't even be knowing.
Even if they did, again, if it doesn't resonate, why are you here?
Yeah, I think the goal here that we're trying to accomplish is to, tell the truth and give as much information out there as possible. We grew up religious as well. And even though we might be non-religious, there's still a part of us that can have respect to the spiritual aspect of it. And, the idea is to call out things that have not been acknowledged. And that can be for a lot of other religions too, things that people choose not to pay attention to or choose to ignore. That is also affecting your relationship too. So really, I hope that this would also make some people feel even more closer, even within your own faith too, and even feel more empowered and more free and knowing that you can ask questions. You're free to ask questions and seek answers if you do want to know more. And that actually is better for strengthening your relationship to whomever you might worship or want to have a deeper connection to versus just blindly following. It's better to have a stronger relationship when you choose with your own empower that I know this information and I choose to have this type of relationship with whomever because of this information and because it empowers me, and not because I have some underlying fear or avoidance and I can't even get any questions answered that I might have. And now I'm just supposed to follow blindly, you know? So we hope that this is actually more empowering than people think.
To ask questions.
Exactly.
And to be intentional about your faith rather than just be following the next person.
Yeah, because what you're not going to do is judge me when you have not done your research.
Right.
Don't be afraid, like, because I'm pretty sure even though the people who kind of are judgmental a little bit, like, you guys know you're curious. You may not want to admit it because out of fear of whatever the punishment is that you think it is, but don't be afraid to be curious. There's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like the people in the comments, I feel like the people that make their way to our pages and like the things that we talk about, I feel like it's because there is interest. I feel like because there is curiosity.
Of course.
Because you wouldn't be on here like why are you even here?
Because who are you trying to convince?
Exactly.
You're on my
Me
page
or you.
trying to convince.
Right.
So a lot of my customers have some foundation of religion, whether it be Christianity or another religion. So just for the listeners who don't know the Conjure and who I am as Lala Inuti Ahari and the Aharis, we do practice Hoodoo. We do practice Voodoo. We have altars in our houses. We are very much in control of our own reality, and we do use spiritual intervention for that, whether it be angels or whether we're calling on different forms of God. I actually have a Jesus, well, what I call Yahweh altar that is available for purchase. I have a Yahweh candle. So it's not that we don't believe in Yahweh, because obviously we do. We just use this deity and this energy a different way. So we're not here to say Jesus is not real, Jesus is not the truth, Jesus is not the way. We're saying it's not the only way. And that is how we have been successful in our lives and how we have, managed to sit in front of you today and show you the way and show anybody else that is trying to figure this out or has questions. We're here to answer them. So with that being said, I was just talking about Hoodoo. A lot of people feel like Hoodoo is a closed practice, but then they say the same about Voodoo. And so I guess we want to answer some questions that people have, like, what's the difference between Hoodoo and what's the difference between Voodoo?
So with Hoodoo, it's about working with the herbs and getting to the root of the problem, right?
It's working with roots.
Yeah, yes.
literally.
Anyone can do that. I do feel that way as long as you're respectful. But for Voodoo, in regards to Voodoo, I feel like that is with working with the ancestors. And I feel like not everybody can do that. Some people can, given their ancestry. Typically, I see the people that try to work with our ancestors, are like culture vultures. Like they are copying the entire culture. Like it's not just that aspect that they're interested in. They're usually like culture vulture type of personalities.
Okay.
And
so what if some of them aren't? What if some of them are Creole? What if some of them have
That's true.
a background and an ancestry within that community? Because there is a lot of that. And at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes to Voodoo and the Loa, I feel like they choose.
That's true. They choose you.
I feel like they choose. And if you want to work with Legba, you want to work with Dambala, or one of the Loa, they will let you know yes or no. They will let you know if they're going to show up for you or not. Mm-hmm. Because if some of you guys are unaware, I do offer candles for the Loa. And I have gotten results from every ethnicity with working with Legba. So,
but see, I feel like it's some deities are they have different personas, they have different personalities, and I feel like some are more accepting, maybe, or open, whereas some are more strict.
Some are.
But that's also the difference too between Hoodoo and Voodoo. Hoodoo is not predictable, as if you go to like Legba or you go to like the second or first pentacle of the sun or something, like you're going to an actual spirit. You're asking them for something specific, versus Hoodoo, you're just throwing the energy out there, manifesting, chanting, and whatever comes is however it comes.
Yeah. And in terms of energy, there's a difference. But it's also, voodoo is more of a religious practice.
Yeah.
And for some, it's just their way of life, where we honor the Loa. The difference between that and religion is we don't worship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We honor. We work with them. We're not
I've never
giving
used
our
that
life
word.
up to them.
Yeah, like giving everything to them.
Right.
I've never used that word worship. I've always said to honor my
It's
ancestors.
always to honor and offer. We
I
offer.
think there is a
things.
difference.
We offer offerings and food and whatever it is that we feel like that energy likes. Right. So we also give sacrifices.
That may be why a lot of people may not get the results that they may want from certain ancestors or spirits that they may conjure, because they may not have been honored in the right way, or like your area may have been dirty. They may not like the place that they've been put in for their altars. Like, there's so many reasons for not getting results.
Yeah.
I would say between hoodoo and voodoo, when it comes to closed practice, I would say that voodoo does seem to be or appear to be more of a closed practice, and sometimes even requires initiation. But we have also found that the spirits choose who they want to work with at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so they're
do.
Even if you're initiated, even if you're in the religion,
even
they
for
still have
us,
to choose you.
We're not initiated, but we still work with certain loa spirits because they choose to work with us.
Exactly.
And so with hoodoo, I would say that appears to be more of an open practice because of its origins. It started here in America through slavery and wanting to still keep that connection with our ancestors as a form of empowerment and also survival. But it incorporates different cultures, though. So it does have Native American elements to it, even a bit of European with Christianity.
It does.
So because of it being already a mixed cultural practice, it is something that is easily spread around, by the way, and something that many people are able to take on, even unintentionally. Like when you think of certain practices like Wicca and other forms of European folk magic, they also incorporate certain herbs and oils and roots and stuff, and very, very similar to hoodoo too. So in a way, it's already been a practice that's been shared all around the world, essentially.
Do you feel like when it comes to hoodoo and roots, I feel like it's a little, and I may be biased, but I just feel like it's a little more deeper when it comes to hoodoo versus Wicca.
For sure.
And hoodoo versus witchcraft. Like, I feel like hoodoo is a lot deeper. It can be a lot deeper. And it's just deeper rooted in us, right?
Yeah.
So, because this was also a way that our ancestors defended themselves and protected themselves and healed themselves, right? So, what do you guys feel about people appropriating it or feeling entitled to it? Because there is this thing that I have seen on social media where people are practicing it that are not of color, and they are, I don't want to say racist in a sense, but it's almost that like they feel entitled to it. Like, this isn't yours, it doesn't belong to you.
Oh my God, yes,
Kind
they're
of
sounding like the entitled.
And I think that's why
white
people get upset when they're like, no, it should be closed, because when
We
that
deal with
comes
people who
in,
be doing too much.
exactly, then they start doing too much, and we don't trust. It's not trusted.
Like the same
in their
people will be
hands.
like, oh, well, if you can say the N-word, why can't I say the N-word? I have free speech. I can do,
Yeah.
like the same type of, it's the same energy.
It is.
With the culture and the religion or the practice. It's like, well, why can't I do it? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It is entitlement. I don't think that the spirits or the deities like that entitlement. I don't think that they,
Well, they can definitely reject people too. That's another thing too about why voodoo specifically is a lot more closed, whether it's through initiation or just simply the spirits don't want to work with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because unlike other spirits, where you can, like angelic spirits, or if you work with the Solomonic, the Greater Keys of Solomon, some of those energies you can command and demand, right?
Yeah.
In the same way Solomon did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with the Loa, you can't. It's more of,
You're asking for permission.
You honor, exactly. You ask for permission you go to Legba first, you there's a system to it where it's not just automatic, you know, I'm going to do it because you said it. And I think maybe that's why people also think, okay, it's not for me because it just didn't work for me, or it's closed because it didn't work for me. It could be your ancestry. You might have colonizer ancestry, and you're calling on ancestors that were killed and raped, and, you know, these are ancestors that don't belong to you.
Right.
Where your ancestry colonized these ancestors, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
audacious.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you really do have the audacity to call on me right now.
You want my help?
Right. Right. So yeah, it just could be that. And honestly, unfortunately, some black people do have that ancestry too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So just because you black don't mean they're gonna come to you too and help you too.
I feel like the answer to the question in regards to if it should be a closed practice should be up to the deities.
Exactly.
I feel like they will let you know.
They will let you
if
know.
it's close to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
going back to hoodoo and how you were talking about, you know, the entitlement and you know, not paying respects, how can non-POC, non-black people pay respects to the culture?
One, understand it. And when it comes to other people, it's like, for example, if I'm calling on Dantor and I'm, you know, not a POC, and I'm calling on Dantor, I'm not going to be disrespectful to a black single mother.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, how dare you? I'm not going to be disrespectful to black people, period.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look at them in a different respect because this is their energy that I'm pulling from.
Right. This is the deity who helped with the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
So like
Hello.
you really need to be careful.
Right. Right. So in that way, it's how you live your life. It's how you live your life. How are you treating the people that you're pulling the energy from?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like say that it's a different race, right? And they have a practice and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting. I want to practice that as well." But I'm like prejudiced and like hateful or weird towards the people, but I want to take the practice. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's not respect.
You will not be granted what you
It's
desire.
colonizer behavior.
Yeah.
Exactly. And unfortunately, like you said, the spirit has the last say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you know if you can or cannot. Do they show up for you? Do they not?
The spirits care about like your integrity and like how pure you are too. Like you can even be like racist or whatever, like, and then think, okay, maybe if I just switch up for this one moment because I need this, like
They know your true heart.
like they
your
know.
heart.
Yeah.
They do. They know your heart.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about DDG and Hallie?
Ooh.
I feel like she's going through postpartum depression.
What do you guys think about the text messages though?
I
feel
was
like,
hoping it was AI, but it's
don't do it.
It's okay if it wasn't.
I see myself in those text messages. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Like everybody does,
No.
except for
no.
everybody else. Everybody else.
Okay, but you wouldn't text it, but would you?
I would have,
feel it?
yeah. Or would
Yeah.
you think it?
Exactly.
Some of us just
So-
say what we think
Period.
without thinking.
And Hallie is an Aries.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the Aries.
Right.
But DDG has been internet. Their whole relationship has been like on his end.
a
Has been
Libra.
internet,
He's
streaming
been internet.
everything.
What did I
Yes,
say
he's
in the
been
last
internet.
episode about Libras? What did I say? Do you remember? I always say this about Libras.
They like attention?
No.
The big puppy?
Well,
She did say they were
stop.
cheaters. So.
Okay.
That they were cheaters?
I said that they are HOEs. I said that. I said, and it's intentional. It's not on accident. And honestly, the way that he was responding to her in the text messages would have made me crash out too, because he's like, can you please calm down while I'm typing you in all caps and I just sent you the 10th message. Like, no, I can't calm down.
This is the 10th girl you done
Right.
cheated on me with.
Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, no.
And we don't know the circumstances of it, but
We
it's
don't.
just like, personally, I feel like I don't know how long ago she had her baby. I know it takes 2 years, they say, for a woman to fully recover from having a child.
Yeah, and those were old messages too.
And I just find that
Isn't
so
it like
crazy
6
because
months?
I don't know. No,
there were
it's
some from
2 years.
Some of them were 2022,
Halo's almost 2 years.
2024.
Oh,
I just find that crazy though, because like it's so
is.
crazy how you never know what's going on behind the scenes, because before all this was released and they were together, they look so happy.
they probably were, you know, but then things happen. People get comfortable. You just, you never know what kind of people you're dealing with. And I'm not saying that Hallie is perfect, but I am on her side.
Right.
But because all I seen in those text messages, and I feel like this is this smear campaign that him and his, I think
came
his
up
mom
with.
is even saying some things. They're just trying to do the smear campaign to try to ruin her image, and it's not working.
Because it's easy to call a woman crazy.
Yeah.
It's easy to just be like, it's easy. I know what reactive abuse looks like.
Yeah.
That looks like reactive abuse. It looks like, she seems like, people were talking about how a man can really drive you crazy into psychosis. And it's true. And I just feel like the people who are judging her, like, look at how these texts look, you know, DDG is the victim, whatever. I feel like y'all not being real.
He is not the victim.
Y'all are not being real about how
He was
you have been.
abusive.
Like,
Yes,
explain the
exactly.
marks.
How you
Like-
have been. How you would react if you were abused and cheated on and all of this, like all around you having a baby. Like you wouldn't be just calm, cool, and collect.
This is around the time she had the baby or was pregnant.
It was like 2 months. Some of the messages were from 2022. Don't know why he brought that up.
Because
that was before they had a baby.
It's all he had.
Yes, but
you
he
have to go
did have
back
something
to,
recently.
You know, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't really
Oh my
have
God.
anything.
Isn't that what they do though?
You don't really have anything.
Bring up something that happened 2 years ago.
Right.
Like, remember when you, because that's all you can say.
Right. When you said you call me a bitch.
Right.
He was
3
actually-
years ago. Like, what?
He was actually just denied, I think, 2 things he tried for. He tried to get a restraining order on her, which is dumb because you already have a restraining order on you. And then secondly, he got denied. He was trying to stop Hallie from taking Halo to Italy,
Right.
out the country, and he got denied both of those.
While she was working.
Yeah, because the physical abuse is recent. You're bringing up the text messages that were years ago that it has no relevance to right now.
Obviously, it is embarrassing for you to just have a child and then your baby daddy or your partner is on stream with different girls every single time, just bringing
Slandering
different girls. Yeah. And like making you look like you're trying to keep the baby from him. And at the end of the day, a woman who just had a child, you cannot play the like, oh, she's crazy card. No, she just had a baby and she's recovering, and you disrupted her recovery process with trauma and cheating.
With trauma and
Yeah.
cheating. And guess what that's going to do for her moving forward? So let's get into it. Shadow work. You know, like even if it was a previous relationship or is this relationship now moving forward, you know, with all this trauma and everything, there could now be triggers.
Oh, there is triggers.
And there probably already is triggers
Yeah.
just from all of the abuse and everything
That's
that
already
she's went
happened.
through. That's already happened.
Yeah.
So she does have triggers, and people ask all the time, what is shadow work? Why do people keep saying that? What is shadow work? What is shadow work? Is it working on the darker side of yourself? Is it, you know, what it is, well, first of all, what it isn't is easy. I'll say that. It is hard going back to previous versions of yourself and healing them. You know, going back to when you were brought up crying and hurt in this unbelievable humiliation or whatever it was at the time, and talking to that person and healing them in that moment, and that person being you, and pulling all that energy out. And in that moment, like, it's kind of like past life regression.
Oh my God.
You know, when you're in past life regression, if anybody has done it, I know a great person for it, but in past life regression, you are going back to heal other parts of you in past lives, right?
That's representing, it's like situations that are representing themselves in this life.
One, right?
Where it's similar.
It's
like similar situations happening.
So, and then what happens in past life regression, when you go back to that pain, here comes the flood of tears out of nowhere. And you're like, this wasn't even in this life. And I feel like it was. That's how deep it is. And it's coming up and I'm crying about it and I'm getting it out. That's what the past life regression is for, is to go back and heal those things. So in this life, you're better off, right? And you don't have those triggers of it anymore. So what shadow work is is the same thing, but in this life. So you're going back and you're healing previous trauma, and you're whether you're talking to yourself, whether you need to tell yourself it wasn't your fault, whether you need to forgive yourself, whatever it is that you need to tell yourself. And then when you feel that tug in your heart and in your throat, and you feel like your emotion is about to come up, that's when you let it out, and you let it come up, and you let it come out. So it no longer is tied to a trigger. How do you know when this happens? Anxiety. When a situation happens, you're like, I don't know why I have anxiety. It's because your body's telling you it's triggered by something that is happening. If I was in a very traumatic situation and I was drinking Starbucks at the time, or if I was in a traumatic situation and in that situation there was a crowd of people and it was traumatic for me, where 5 years later now, I'm out of the situation, I feel like I moved on with my life, right? Until I get in a crowd of people and I start to get anxiety, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why does this make me anxious? Why am I getting anxious? Because I'm in this crowd there's a lot of people around me. It's because your subconscious is saying there's danger, because it remembers that traumatic situation that you were in, and now you're in a crowd of people again. Your subconscious is saying, hey, you're about to be in danger, and then your heart starts racing.
Isn't that similar to, somebody told me this, I think Grandpa told me, something similar to smoking cigarettes, that whenever you feel like you need to smoke a cigarette or you need to have a drink or whatever it is, that there will be something that triggers you to make you feel like I need to smoke a cigarette right now.
Yeah.
It's like something familiar.
That's a habit. That's an addiction.
Yeah.
It's not the same. It's not the same as triggers in the subconscious mind. And
I guess that's how some people deal with their triggers.
Yeah, but sometimes when people are coping with it, they're also trying to use whatever tool it is to cope with whatever they're experiencing right now, that discomfort.
Right.
Because they built up a connection with it, whether it is alcohol or smoking. Whatever it is, they're trying to escape a level of discomfort that they're feeling
from the trigger
that they're not facing.
But they're just coping, though.
Yeah, they're using it to cope.
That's not
they're
shadow
not fixing
work.
it.
That is not shadow work.
No, that's actually avoiding shadow work.
It's avoiding it, and an addiction, whether it be alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever it is that keeps you running and avoiding it. And then before you know it, you're like a walking trigger. Everything bothers you. Everything gives you anxiety. Everything makes you upset because you haven't dealt with the trauma that you went through to put it there in the first place. So again, going back to the being in a crowd and trying to figure out why you have anxiety, because your brain is saying, hey, we're in danger. Your heart is racing. You're like, what is the problem? You got to go back and deal with that trauma. So what happens in that time and space right there where you start getting anxiety? Let me tell you a trick. Tell yourself, I'm safe. I'm safe. It's not happening. It's not happening again. I'm safe. I like where I'm at. I'm comfortable where I'm at. I'm safe. It tells the brain that now crowds are no longer a danger. You got to fix it in that moment that you get it, because that's when your subconscious and your brain is telling you to do something about it. So when you're in that moment, you just say, hey, if you're safe, hopefully you are. But if you're safe, just say, hey, I'm safe. This doesn't bother me anymore. I know why this is happening, because of that happened. And I was in a crowd at the time, or I heard that song at the time, or whatever it is that's creating the anxiety. You can stop it by telling yourself you're safe.
Okay, so what about the shadow work in relationships?
So in the past, I was in a relationship. It was very stressful, and I just wanted to make sure that I chose a person that was more, respectful and valued me. And I knew that had to come from within too. I had to value myself. I had to really trust myself too, because I ignored my intuition a lot. And so I needed to really go within in order to change the kind of people that I'm attracting.
Because it has to do with you.
Yeah, it comes back to you ultimately. So it's personal work, it's self-work. You have to come back to yourself so that, you know, what's being reflected in the people that you are attracting.
It's just a mirror.
It's a mirror of yourself. So for me, I did a lot of inner child healing work, you know, going into, you know, how you were talking to your inner child and healing them and, you know, even personal stories like that. I did a lot of breath work too. I never thought that breath work would really be that, like, monumental. Yeah.
Does it help?
Yeah, I remember
Does it stop
that.
you from crying or something?
Not at all.
Okay.
It literally, it will definitely make you cry and scream
really
and
cry.
shake and just like, it's really crazy.
That's why I'm saying it's not easy.
You gotta let it all out.
But you gotta let it out. And when you feel like you're about to cry, cry. Let it out. Do not swallow it and keep it down there because doesn't. Your body is saying, get this out. It doesn't belong. When it starts to come up, it's because that's the direction it's supposed to go. Let it come out.
That is so true.
because we keep it in us too.
And you know what? You know, like when you like hold in a cry and you feel it in your throat and it's almost painful.
It's painful.
It hurts physically.
Yeah.
To hold it in. But sometimes it gotta stay in. And then it gotta come out later.
Come out later.
Yeah,
because
sometimes
when
it
it
does
comes
come out later.
It's going to come out later in a toxic way
In an
to
extreme
somebody,
way.
and you're going to bleed on somebody
explosively.
that you know that's not their issue. You know, you're bleeding on everybody, and that's just so. It's important to do the work.
You know
It's
what?
very brave. It's you really have to be brave, like and like not like stop running. Whenever you're ready to stop running is whenever you're ready to do the work.
You have to face yourself essentially because it's deeply uncomfortable. It's supposed to be because of the stuff that you had trapped within you, the traumas, all of that stuff that you tried to keep within you. You have to let it out, and it's incredibly uncomfortable because you have to face yourself. You have to face the experiences that you had
And accountability.
as well. And that's some things that people are constantly running from. They're running from themselves.
Like
I was also going to say, just to add to that, is you have to disconnect from the traumatic experience before you can heal from it. Right?
That's true.
But you can't keep going back
Yeah.
to what hurt you thinking you're going to heal from it. You have to completely cut those ties and then go back to it. And like I said, talk to yourself, let take accountability for your fault in it, heal, let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go.
But I also feel like the hard part and why
Don't pick it back up.
Yeah. But I also feel like the hard part of why like people don't take the accountability or they always blame the other person, and I will say I'm talking from experience, it's hard to take responsibility for what you allowed because it may be embarrassing.
Yeah, because it means something to it
Then
because
be
that means something.
embarrassed.
So you
That's
got to
why
be
it's-
embarrassed a little
that's
bit. You got to be like,
humility.
dang, I really did not care about myself during that time period.
accountability,
has to-
though.
And everybody
has to
goes
go
through those phases.
Exactly. If you cannot handle humility,
Yeah.
where you're like, it was me,
Yeah.
you know, I need to do better, or taking accountability and have a little bit of, humbling yourself. How are you going to grow? You can't just be, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I'm not going to be embarrassed by it. Nope. And then that keeps you in the situation.
In avoiding.
It doesn't-
Because you have to
Instead of
deal with that
avoiding it.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, this is how I feel about myself. And, there's two good points that I have. One point is I remember mom told me, which stuck with me always, is when dealing with like pain and like any type of negative experience that you have to, because I would just be like, I just want to get over it. I just want to get over it. I just want to, okay, keep moving. Like, I just want to, like, you don't want to feel it. But she would say, like, you have to get through it, not over it. You have to go through.
Over
so
it
that
is
means that you have to
burying
feel
it.
the pain. You have to suffer. You have to like analyze. And another good point of advice that my therapist had given me was that, and I feel like this also is a way to do shadow work, is she said, like, when you look in the mirror, to look at that person as like another person and not just like your
I love that.
reflection, and think about how you have treated this person. And like, think about how this person has treated you. This person has been with you since birth. They've always had your back. They've always been there. How are you treating them? and to look at it as a totally different person, because sometimes I feel like we don't recognize enough how we treat ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we value ourselves. We focus a lot on our outer relationships, but we don't focus on like, dang, I've been treating myself really crappy.
Sometimes that feels like the first heartbreak.
Yeah, it is, because it's disappointing.
How you abandoned yourself
and
neglected yourself for this relationship. And even when you are healing from a relationship, it's almost like you also have to heal from the relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And how you...
Like you broke your own heart.
You broke your own heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you treat yourself badly by allowing yourself to be in situations that are harmful to you. And when you see that they're harmful to you and you see how it affects your life, and then you're continuously choosing that, you are harming yourself. Stop looking at me like that.
I'm listening.
Okay.
So when you say that, and I think I have probably said this to, if not all of you, at least two of you, is when you talk about self-love and what you allow and don't allow around yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Think of what you would allow your sister around your sister. If the guy that you chose was the same kind of person that was dating Kayla, how would you feel about him? Would you want him around her? Would you want all the things that has been done to you around your sister? Would you want that person around her? And the answer would be, what? I'm talking to you, Eria. I'm talking to Eria specifically. I'm just, because I know for a fact I've had this conversation with her.
Okay.
But you wouldn't, right? You wouldn't.
No, of course. I don't play about my family.
You don't play about your family. Now, that is how you should see yourself. Like Christina just said, that mirror. That is how you shouldn't play about yourself either.
Play about yourself.
That love and that protection you have, like, I don't want that around my sister. I don't like him. I don't like how he said that to her. I don't like how he treated her. I don't like how he did this to her. I don't like him.
That's how you got to treat yourself.
That's how you treat yourself.
Because if you were to look at that reflection in the mirror as really like a whole different identity and other person, and you were in control, like, of putting that person in these messed up situations, putting this person through harm, but like you would be like not a good person to that person. Like you're not being a good person to yourself.
Right.
And those things stuck with me. That helps me, is when I'm like checking in on my self-love and like my self-value and all of my relationship with myself, I will look at myself as like a whole separate person and think about how I've been treating them. It helps you be accountable.
It helps you be accountable. So all shadow work is, you guys, just to sum it up, is triggers from past pain that are showing up, and is your body's way of letting you know, hey, are you safe? You know, the anxiety from it anyway is your body's way of saying, hey, are you safe? And the shadow work that you need to do is going back to remove that trauma, heal that trauma, so there is no more trigger, and you're able to treat people better, treat yourself better, and ultimately manifest better too. Because a lot of things caused by trauma can also cause blockages when it comes to trying to manifest.
Well, absolutely. If you feel like you don't deserve it, you know, which is also like another reflection of how we feel about ourselves. If you feel like you don't really deserve it, then it's not going to come to you.
You're never going to get more than you feel like you deserve.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you don't have a lot of self-worth, or you're not really checking in on that person in the mirror and seeing if they're okay, like you're not going to manifest like as much as you want, because you're limiting yourself because of how you treat yourself.
Yeah. Agree.
I think shadow work can also incorporate, I don't want to say like soul retrieval, or just like, you know, when there's certain aspects of yourself that you suppress in order to please others. I think that plays a role too. And also owning and accepting yourself as a whole, because you can get into relationships with people who only care about a certain part of you and not you as a whole, or they want something from you. And so that also, you know, plays out in your relationships too. How much of you are you accepting? Are you coming up, or are you coming out as your most authentic self? unmoved and unshaken by other people's thoughts and opinions of you? Like, are you showing up as your whole self instead of like breaking yourself
Dimming
apart?
yourself down.
Yeah, to be digestible to people.
That's not a very nice way to treat yourself.
Yeah.
It's not.
But that's what I mean. Like looking at yourself like another person. I think that to me, it helps me be better to myself and be accountable with myself.
Okay, so I don't know about everybody else, but I kind of want to touch on like spiritual awakenings and everybody's experience on it.
What's yours?
Mine actually really wasn't that bad.
Yeah, you know why? Because it happened after mine, and you guys were walked through it all nice and pretty and with a bow on top. Mine was traumatic and
You had stuff pulling at your feet. And
you know,
like,
just scary and dragged. You know, I feel like because I have
It's not pretty either.
You know what? I think
Maybe it
everybody's
wasn't.
different.
it scared me the first time, but then after the first
is it
time, it
your
was like, oh, hey.
House.
I have Jupiter in the 12th house, dear.
Okay.
So a lot of things come to me through dreams.
Grand and abundant spiritual experiences is what it's giving.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a big manifester,
Yeah.
right? But at the time, I did not know the path that I was supposed to walk, right? And it was being opened for me, and I was like fighting it, like at first. My dreams were thicker and longer and more vivid. I had stuff touching me in my sleep. I would wake up to noises, stuff being thrown across the room. And it was like, you know, obviously I was protected and I wasn't harmed, but I was scared a lot. And I was also doing a lot of shadow work. I was also doing a lot of meditating, deep meditation. I was doing a lot of healing, researching, practicing. I was on a lot of stuff at once. And I just feel like Spirit wanted me to be comfortable with the other side of the veil. Because that is the walk and the journey and the path that they were opening up for me. And I didn't know it at the time. Now I hear something in the house. I'm like, you know, oh, like was being funny. You know, I could tell when it's a spirit or it's an energy in my house.
You have just more discernment.
Right, I do, because I have so many altars in my house too.
And you've had quite the experience.
Yes.
Your house
Welcomed
is
the
alive.
experiences as well.
My house is very alive.
Yeah.
I've had priests come in my home and say that it felt like a temple. So I'm comfortable. Let's just say that very much. I am conjured hoodoo. I am Lala Inuti Ahari. I conjure, right? I create things for other people to conjure. I attach spirits to things now. You know, like I am so comfortable in that world. But it was a path that was being opened for me, and I wasn't aware of it, and I was fighting it. I was battling, and I was like, I don't want it. I'm scared. I don't know what this, like, it's, you know, I'm cool with the hoodoo and stuff, but I wasn't really open to the spiritual intervention side of things yet. And that's what was so scary, and I was fighting it.
Because they will try to get your attention.
Oh, they will get your attention if it's your walk and it's your path and they need your attention. I had a dream of being in a room with a whole bunch of mirrors, and there were like all these little mirrors on the wall. And in the dream, Zuli came up to me, or Zuli Frida came up to me, and she walked right inside of me, and I became really super tall in this dream. And then I went to the mirror and I started wiping this gold glitter like on myself and in the mirror and everything. And then I woke up and I knew what that meant, you know, because I was already, you know, working with Dambala. So it was like, she's here. Mm-hmm. She wants to work with me. She's my, you know, I get so much in dreams that most people would be like, what in the world? I dream so vividly because of the Jupiter 12th house. So you have to pay attention to your dreams, just to say that. Pay attention to your dreams during the spiritual awakening. Pay attention to the energy that's around you. Make sure always, always, always protect yourself. If you feel like you are going through a spiritual awakening for whatever reason that it is, because a lot of people are awakening right now, make sure you protect yourself. one of the easiest ways to protect yourself is black tourmaline, a bracelet. Make sure it's real. You can sleep with it. You can put the stone under your pillow. You
Or
can
your Omni Shield bracelet.
Yep. I actually, yeah, of course, I have the Omni
My
Shield.
Supreme 4 coin under my pillow.
Supreme 4 defense. Any kind of spiritual defense is really good for protecting yourself, because what you're going through is spiritual. And I know when people say, "Oh, I'm spiritual, I'm spiritual, I'm spiritual,"
Wait till the spirits come.
you can't take the spirit out of spiritual. You're spiritual because of spirit. A lot of people want to be spiritual, but they take the spirit out of it. If you take care of yourself on the spiritual realm, right? Your physical, the health is better. Your mental health is better. Your emotional health is better. Everything is better on this side of the veil if you take care of everything on that side first.
Absolutely. Everything has a spiritual aspect.
It does. It does.
I think it starts with our spirits.
It starts with your spirit first, right?
It becomes very much real too when you're on your spiritual journey and you're going through your spiritual awakening, because like how you said, some people say they're spiritual, but it's different when you're actually having that experience where it literally lets you know 100% there's more to this world, for sure. And it's undeniable. The experiences that you can have. For me, I dealt with a lot of astral projection. I did that a lot when I was a teenager too, but I wasn't really aware of it. And I just knew that I was going somewhere, and sometimes I would end up in places where I wasn't, and they would just kind of send me back, or I would just shoot back into my body like really, really fast and hard. And I would see my hands and my arms waving right before I got into my body. That's how I knew, okay, yeah, I was gone. I went somewhere. And then also like that half awake, half asleep type of...
You had readers tell you that was your gift.
Yeah, like dream walking or something like that. And that kind of goes into another gift of mine too.
You're the sun in the 12th house too.
Yeah, my son is in my 12th house. So that's another thing too. But, and also seeing, I don't even know what to call it, like visions. I see visions in my mind's eye. And it's not just when I'm asleep, it's also when I'm half awake. And as of recently, even when I'm awake during my day, I see visions too.
Because it can grow.
Very much.
Yeah.
Because it is a muscle.
Yeah,
Psychic ability
exactly.
is a muscle. If you ignore it, like if you don't work out, then you lose your muscle.
Right.
But if you do, which is from my experience when I was younger, when I would see spirits and stuff, I remember like running and crying to mom and being like super duper freaked out. Like, and thinking to myself after I learned about the other psychic abilities other than mediumship, I was just thinking to myself, like, this is like the worst gift to get. Like, who wants to see dead people? Who wants to see, like, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah.
Like maybe you could hear voices or like some other, or I could see visions or some other type of psychic ability. And I just remember being young and being like, I don't want this gift.
Maybe that's why I'm like, oh, mine wasn't that bad, because like it happened a little too often for me. My first one, I seen a little girl. She was passed away. She was in the kitchen. She showed herself to me for 3 days.
Yeah.
For 3 days.
Was that your first experience?
It was. And
That was how mine was.
Was this little boy?
It was a little boy, and he was standing in like the kitchen or something, like in the
She
dining room.
scared the life out of me.
And she did she have clothes on?
She was very dirty. Yeah, she had clothes on.
Exactly, dirty. And that's when when I realized that when they look dirty like that, I felt like those are the people who passed away.
And I remember seeing the bathroom, and it's weird that I knew this. In the dream, it was like, no, mom said stay away from the mirrors. So I kept walking, and I was going to go outside. And
You were conscious.
I must have been.
If you had a memory,
I was somewhat conscious.
You were somewhat conscious. Yeah.
Well, I went downstairs, and I was trying to open the front door. It's just crazy because there's a movie, Insidious. The little boy, he went into the in-between, and he went outside. He went outside, which is a door.
Yeah.
And when I tried to go through the door, there was a woman sitting outside the door, and she triggered the rest of the spirits in the house because she seen me. And she grabbed me, and she said, help me, please, help me. And she was, crawling towards me, and I got scared. And when I got scared, it was like all the spirits in the house turned their heads to me. And I ran back to my body, and I tried to I laid down with myself, and I was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And when I opened my eyes, that spirit that I saw with the horns in my room, he was closer and like looked like he wanted me. And when I felt that fear, I woke up.
Because you were away from your body and you were somewhere else. A lot of people have that experience where they are somewhere when they're astral projecting and they are somewhere where they're not supposed to be, and the spirits there all turn to them. Like, why is that a lot of people's experience, right? Like,
they've literally told me you're not supposed to be
they
here.
will say that. A lot of people have
you guys
experienced
had
that, even online, where they were astral projecting and they went somewhere, and I don't know if you're not supposed to be conscious in this place, or if
they're not supposed to know
your spirit is not supposed to travel to this place.
Yeah.
But where once the spirits recognize that you're there, I feel like this has happened to me in a dream as well.
I told Mom about
where
this
I have been
before.
somewhere where I'm not supposed to be, and everybody turned and looked at me like, you're not supposed to be here.
You're not supposed to be here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that lets you know you're astral projecting because you're traveling.
I told Mom I had a dream about that one time. It was like a smoky, again, Insidious, which I feel like Insidious is based off of a true story. No, seriously, it was a dark space, and it was smoke on the ground like you see in the movies, and it was a red door, and I was facing the red door, and an old man. I turned around, and an old man was in my face, screaming at me. He was like, "What are you doing here? They're coming. Go, go!" And I woke up, and I told Mom, because it scared me so bad. I was crying. I knocked on her door, and I was like, I told her I had a bad dream, and she channeled it for me, and that was a warning. I was somewhere I was not supposed to be, and there was something coming for me because it knew I was there.
Yeah, it's like all of you, we all have these metaphysical gifts, right? And obviously Christina's the oldest, so hers was first.
Dates back, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, there's times where I had to go in her room and I had to cleanse and I had to, you know, this is like, I don't know, were we like 8?
Yes, I remember telling you, well, I had different spiritual experiences, but one with mediumship and seeing spirits, and then 2 with hearing spirits.
With hearing.
And I remember telling you I remember like coming to you like, Mom, there's like these,
it was a male
this
voice.
is going to sound so bad. There's these voices in my head telling me to do stuff. Oh God, it's going to sound
but then
bad.
I remember that, but then remember I cleansed and then
it went away. It went away, right.
And even then, now let me just, for all the people who are Christian watching or not Christian or, you know, even then I used the spirit of Jesus over that room. I conjured, I spoke it, I made whatever that energy was go away. So I say that to say that name is powerful too.
It is. Yeah.
At the time,
You used to call yourself a prayer warrior.
I used to call myself a prayer warrior, exactly, because I knew how to break soul ties. I was a conjurer before I knew I was a conjurer.
Yeah.
You know,
You were speaking with intent.
Exactly.
Yes.
And,
then too,
and I wasn't in the church every Sunday either. It was just, I knew I had this gift of power to speak and things would move and
then,
go away.
And then I feel like too, you were speaking over your kids, somebody you would like lay down about. So
Right.
It's like, it's a different kind of
Very
energy.
intentful.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. But
It went away too.
it went away, never came back.
And
right?
if I was a part of a different family and I was like, I'm hearing voices and they're telling me to do bad stuff or they're telling me dark things, I don't remember exactly
They
what
would
I said.
handle it different.
Yes, they would have been like schizophrenic.
Yeah.
We're taking you to the therapist. Right, exactly.
I'll never forget when you saw that little boy in the kitchen. Like,
Oh my
that kind of
because that was my first
like,
ever experience. And it's so weird how I was a kid and I knew what it was. Like, I knew that it wasn't a little boy really standing in our house. I knew that it was a spirit.
That he passed.
And that, I knew he was dead. Yes. And I knew.
And he knew you could see him.
Yes, because he was looking dead at me.
That's why he showed himself.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
I remember that experience.
But it's like that's the difference. You guys grew in your strengths and in your gifts because it was handled from a spiritual standpoint versus a medical and a you know, oh, you shouldn't be talking like that. That's the devil's work. You know,
that's true.
It wasn't blown off. And,
you weren't like, oh, there's something wrong with my child. Like whenever I came
Right.
to you about these things, well, one, when I saw the little boy, you believed me. Whereas I feel like some parents probably wouldn't be as accepting as that. They probably would have took their kid to church the next day. And like, which there's nothing wrong with that, because you prayed over me and you prayed over my room and stuff. But at the same time, I feel like I think that we have had the privilege of having these experiences and growing up without judgment. I feel like some people experience like the judgment we may receive from the world, from their own family, from their parents, and that can be hard.
And some people are kind of going through their spiritual awakening alone, unfortunately.
Yeah, with no one to validate their experiences.
Very isolating.
And nobody to talk to about it. Most importantly, who do you go to and who do you talk to about it? You know, you're having these dreams, you're having these things happening to you in your sleep or whatever around your house. You don't want people to think you're crazy.
But also, too, part of that is that's unfortunate about not having anybody to talk to, or like, you know, you having to go through it yourself, is also learning how to fight on your own too. Like, and knowing when's the time to, or like, you know, when's the time to stand up, or when's the time to be like, okay, like, let me, like, you know.
Yeah, because we were empowered too. So it wasn't just that, you know, you were praying, you also taught us how to protect ourselves too. So even, you know, we all have our own places. So whenever we are going through something personally, we know how to protect ourselves. So we're not completely helpless.
It took me a minute, though.
Exactly. You don't want to be helpless.
It took an experience for me to know how to, like, defend myself. Like, I had a spirit in my room. I was asleep, and I was in another in-between, of course. And the spirit was coming out of my closet. My closet door had opened. I was awake. I was not, I don't actually know, I would say I was asleep. I was, like, kind of up, like, in the real life. And my closet door opened.
I remember.
And I was talking crap. I was like, you're not going to get me.
I told her, like, to stop doing that. Like, you don't play with that. And this is what I was going to say. You guys all have your gifts. And some is rare as others. And when you are a bright light like that, you attract.
In the dark,
Everyone
can
and I
see
always
you.
said that. In the dark, when you shine bright, you attract, right?
Yes, I remember you saying that.
And so you have to, that's why protection is so important. And to some of the viewers out here listening, if you have even yourself or your children who are attracting things in this light, then it's probably because they have a gift that is rare that needs to be protected.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And look at it that way versus condemning them for it, making them feel bad for it. If you say something's wrong with it, they will think something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
It will create low self-esteem. It would create some type of blockage. Right? It will create all kind of things that you're not even intentionally wanting to create.
And it doesn't solve the problem either.
It doesn't solve the problem.
It doesn't make it go away.
Right.
And also, too, Mom, you actually made us amulets or the bullet amulets. Like, we had protection for a long time until finally they were lost. Was when we knew we didn't need them anymore.
Well, because you also learned how to protect yourself.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, to wrap it up,
make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned for our next episode of the Conjure Confessions.
It will haunt you, and it will tear down the people even close to you.
And in the process of running, she is bleeding on everybody.
Things just continue to escalate further and further and darker.
Pay attention to voices that are not yours.
Do not choose to deal with her demons.
Because you're just not processing what you're going through in a way that's going to be healthy for you.
You have to fight, to evaluate, fight against the voices, fight against the feeling in your heart and the sadness. And
you just keep having these angry thoughts. That could be an entity with you.
I feel like I went through a journey of finding myself.
Nothing will ever touch you and you're just invincible. Because how would you learn? People have to go through the darkest shit sometimes before they learn.
That used sacrificial magic on him, and he used the bones from the chicken on the snake bite.
Our will is God's will.